Hi guys, on today's episode we have a very successful user experience, user interface designer. Without wasting much of your time, let's get straight to it. Tell us about yourself, tell us about what you do, what is UI UX design, and what inspired you into it.
Thank you very much. So my name is Jerry. I'm a UI UX designer, like you rightly mentioned. So basically, what we do in UI UX is simply taking design and using it to solve problems. So that problem could be in healthcare, it could be in education, in any area of life. So the apps that you use, the technologies you use, they are designed by people, and those people happen to be UI UX designers. So I hope that clarifies.
Yeah. So what inspired you into pursuing this career path?
Yeah, so I think it's something I've always loved design generally from when I was a kid. So I'd say it's inborn, and I just grew up with it.
Okay, that's very interesting. So, can you tell us what your daily routine is like? What does your typical day look like for a UI UX designer? Walk us through, projects from beginning to giving the outputs.
Yeah, so a typical work day starts at 9 o'clock. So at 9 o'clock, we do what we call a design stand-up.
Okay.
So what we do there is that we talk to PMs on both our side and on the side of the client to align on what we are working on, to set expectations and general direction. Then after that, we go into a more technical meeting with line managers and other talents. And what we do there is to now whittle it down into day-to-day tasks and to assign, because sometimes the project managers are not designers, so they really don't understand what goes on behind the scene.
Yeah.
So we then reconverge and then set our own internal direction and targets. Then after then, usually everybody gets to work after then, and then we do like a review meeting before lunch or sometime after lunch. That's around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. And after the review, you get your feedback and you get back to work. And you typically will work till like 5 o'clock, and that's my day for the past couple of years.
So let's talk about your work environment, right? So do you work from home, or do you work from an office? Do you go to the office every day, or is it a mix of both?
Yeah, so currently since COVID, I've been working from home. So although my role allows me to travel, so once in a while I meet up with the team physically, but that doesn't happen often. It's just once in a quarter.
Yeah.
So I work remotely. And the other question was?
Yeah, as like how do you collaborate with your team?
Yeah, so our collaboration. So we use a lot of Slack and then Google Meet for like our one-to-ones and review and feedback meetings. And also we use Miro a lot. So we use Miro for project reviews, for project management. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So talking about tools now, what are the essential tools and softwares you use daily, you find particularly useful?
Yeah, so Figma is the industry standard in
Really?
UI UX design. So that's like the Magna Carta. Like 90% of our work is done in Figma. And although there are other tools that you use, for instance, because I have a background in graphic, I use Adobe Illustrator, I use InDesign, I use Photoshop. But 90% of the work you're going to be doing as a UI designer is going to be done in Figma.
Oh.
So yeah.
Okay, are there other tools, like other competing tools? Because I used to know about Adobe, I don't know, XD and stuff like that.
Yeah, so there still is Adobe XD, but somehow Figma is the industry standard.
Okay, so how about AI tools?
Yeah, so the good thing with a lot of these tools is that they get developed over time. So for instance, on Figma, there's an AI feature now that allows you to type prompts to generate things like mood board, wireframes, just to set like a general direction for the work you're doing.
Yeah.
So the good thing with technology is it's evolving, and so are the tools that we are using. So I would say that, yeah, so AI is being incorporated. So it's not like of course there are other AI tools outside of Figma that we use. For instance, there's a new tool that we're using that what it does, I'm trying to remember the name now, but I can't. So what it does is that it creates like color palettes it automatically generates color palettes and makes sure that they pass accessibility tests.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So let's talk about challenges, and rewards in your career path. So what are the, what can you describe as, the common challenge you face in your role, and how do you overcome them? Then just a follow up to that would be, what do you find rewarding? Like, what at the end of the day do you find like, this is what satisfies you from your job?
Yeah, so for challenges, initially, because this is a new industry, initially the problem UI designers used to have was setting expectation with clients. But the good thing is, a lot of companies now have project managers that handle that part of the business. So I wouldn't say that is a major challenge anymore. So for now, the major challenges that UI designers have is, number one, getting inspiration, and number two, translating what the client has in mind into actual products. Yeah, so that's a major challenge, and I think it's all across the creative industry, how to understand what the deliverable is and how to interpret it.
Yeah, because people have ideas and they're not able to articulate these ideas
Yeah,
technically
and
to you.
sometimes the idea that the client has is not what is going to deliver on their
Expectation,
expectations.
yeah.
So sometimes you have to just strike a balance on what works based on your training and your experience. So you need to strike a balance on what works and what the client wants. So sometimes it's quite difficult to get that. It's a very tender balance. It's difficult to get it right. So, and I think that's the major challenge. And
Okay,
it's
so
not
what
just for UI UX, it's just across creative industry.
So what do you find rewarding in the work?
Yeah, so it's not like we are doctors and we are saving lives or doing surgery or anything, but at the same time, it's rewarding when you are helping people live better lives because of the tools that you've helped to build. So, for instance, you're helping an old man somewhere to live a better life, is able to use buses, is able to access healthcare because of tools that you have built. So ultimately, that gives you a sense of joy that in your own little way you are contributing to the betterment of people
And the society.
and society globally.
That's I like that. I like that. So let's talk about skills, because this is a very interesting career path. What are the essential skills? One, and secondly, how do you stay abreast? How do you stay updated with the skills, with the trends that are required for you to keep delivering on expectations?
Yeah, so I'll separate my answers into two. The first one is the core or the essential skills.
Yeah.
You need to be able to support little things, because this is an industry where there's little margin for error. So as designers, you need to be able to, particularly because a lot of what you're building is going to be used by millions probably of people, you need to be very detail oriented. So you need to be able to spot details. So you need to be able to see things that other people don't see. That is the essential part, the crucial part. Now, for the technical bit, I think that it's a personal ideology. I would say you need a background in design. You need to have be a designer first before you now settle on UI UX.
Mm-hmm.
So be a generalist first before you.
So basically, starting with things like graphics design, just liking to design, even to draw.
Because what you pick up with graphic design is principles of design, and these are skills that are transferable to UI UX. So you learn about color theory, you learn about typography, hierarchy, information presentation. So these are a lot of things that you're going to be working a lot with in UI UX. So it just makes sense to know those ones first.
Yeah, before
dive
coming
into,
in. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So we're talking about people who are trying to get into the industry.
Yeah.
What career advice would you give, someone who is looking to start a career in UI UX design? Are there resources or certifications they need to learn? How do they start? How do you telling people who are watching this is how to start, how to get into a career in UI UX design? What would you advise such a person?
Yeah, so the first thing is that you have to be interested. This is an industry where you need to be really interested. You need to be hungry and you need to be very curious. You need to really be in for you to succeed in this industry. And also for where you can get resources and courses. Google does a fantastic job with resources. There's Google Learning, there's LinkedIn Learning, and also Coursera. And at the start of my career, I did a lot of trainings on Skillshare.
Okay.
And yes, I 100% recommend that. So yeah, this is not an industry where certifications really matters like that. It's your portfolio that gets you through the door. So my advice to any newbie is to create a great portfolio. And how do you do that? Is by studying other people's work, and by being with a community of designers, and also just being hungry and being curious. Yeah,
I love that. So for creative designers, people who want to get into UI UX design, are there tools or platforms where they can have build their own portfolio that they can showcase during their job hunt process?
Yeah, so there's Dribble. Dribble is great. There's also Behance. Behance allows you to curate your work, and then you're able to attach them to your application. So I think Behance and Dribble are great. Also, you could just go with the old school PDF, just present it properly. And also some people go out of the way and build actual websites to show their work. So it just depends on what you're most comfortable with. But I like to reiterate that your portfolio is like 90% of what gets you the job in this industry.
Wow.
So you need to have like a strong portfolio, and it doesn't really have to be live works. You can like set projects for yourself and deliver them, and just make sure they pass because you get to learn on the job too. So yeah, so you can just do a lot of projects, put them together, and curate them well, and yeah, that's it.
So guys, you heard it directly from the horse's mouth. So thank you very much, Jerry, for blessing us with your wealth of experience. We are really, I'm really happy to have you here, and I'm sure our audience will enjoy everything you've said, and it will make an impact in their career journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.